What's going on, everyone? This is Matt, Squeaky Clean Air. Fun times today. I just learned that my main compressor, air compressor, has a leak. So we're going to use the air suspension and leak detection skills using the leak detector in order to find where the leak is coming from. Basically, the compressor is losing about 5 psi, I would say, every day. And eventually, once it triggers the pressure regulator or the pressure switch, it turns on usually at night. And wakes everybody up in a way. So today we're going to diagnose that and we're going to fix it. And let's get to it. All right, so here's my trusty leak detector. I love this thing. Home Depot. Awesome, 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 awesome. And here's the culprit. And not a bad compressor from DeWalt. DeWalt's usually pretty decent, but these have a tendency. This is what is that? It's a 30-gallon tank compressor. But these apparently have some issues associated with them. And mine seems to be leaking. And I've identified the leak earlier on to be from this little culprit over here. But let me just use this little guy. Nice little daub. I like it how foamy it gets. At least you don't take a spray and spray on top of it. And you just basically daub it. Let's bring it up here. And it's a very small leak, which manifests itself. You can kind of hear it. It's really, really hard to sort of diagnose, but we're gonna give it some time. And maybe I put a little bit too much, I guess. Let's dab it up a little bit more. So sometimes you're not going to get large bubbles when you do a leak detector, but usually when you leave the fittings for a little bit of time, they're going to start to bubble up. So let's wipe this a little bit. Let me get. I think that's pretty much enough of the leak detector on this little sucker. Let me get a rag and sort of wipe around here. But yeah, you can kind of see it that it's bubbling a little bit more than it should. See it? So this is a tricky one, but it's bubbling up. You can see the foam is growing, especially here, which means that there's a leak on the fitting. And I guess when they did it at the factory, they didn't tighten it up correctly, so it's creating a leak. So we're gonna have to address that because it's annoying and it's peeing me off a little bit. So you're not necessarily always gonna have huge bubbles, but you can kind of tell how it's like just expanding, right? It's not sort of like going away. It's kind of like bubbling up. So it's 100% bubbling up. So this has to be changed. So one of the other upgrades that I did for this thing when I got it, because I can't keep stuff stock obviously, is I got rid of the port or the drain port that this thing comes with, and obviously I used a nice lever valve port, and I ran a 1/4-inch fitting on the bottom, so it just makes purging a lot easier as opposed to moving this whole damn thing and trying to reach from underneath there and use one of their little I call them caterpillar, I guess, not caterpillar, but propeller style of drain ports, which some people use on air suspension tanks as well, but I kind of like to use lever valve stuff, so it makes it a lot easier to purge. Plus I can hook up another sort of drain here and purge this thing off. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to purge everything and disconnect the whole tank. Yeah, see, it's growing. It's 100%. That's where the leak is coming from, because I did check all these previously. Same sort of an idea using the leak detector dauber. and I let them sit for a bit. Now they've dried off, and there was no bubbles. But it's definitely coming from this port, which seems to actually be kind of common on these DeWalt air compressors. You know, so sorry, like gallon air compressors, I guess. And it's the part number DXCMLA1983012 right there, and it's a 30-gallon tank. So if you do guys end up buying these, double check these. This fitting in particular, they seem to have some issues when they leave the factory. I did kind of read about it when I bought it, when I was looking at some reviews. For the most part, it's been a workhorse. I've had it for about 2 years. I rarely kind of use power tools these days because everything is using the 20-volt XR stuff. All my impacts are all that. So I still have it because I bought it about 2 years ago, and it's been working quite good. But yeah, so we're gonna tackle this little puppy. I tried tightening it up a little bit, but it doesn't allow me just to slightly tighten it up. So what I'm gonna have to do is deplete all the air out of it. Remove this compression fitting here, lift it up, and then just do unthread this whole fitting, reseal it with goop, or reseal it with Teflon. I think I'm going to use Teflon, and put it back in, tighten it up, and I think that should be it, and it will never ever leak again. That's the hope here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to purge this puppy out and disconnect everything and play with that fitting. So simple stuff. I went ahead and I removed this compression fitting. That's the beauty with compression fittings. Once it's locked on there, you're able to sort of remove it a couple of times, obviously, not all the time. Moved this a little bit away. I disconnected this push to connect Parker hose. Interesting. Parker also uses a lot of, these are all basically air suspension lines, you could say. Airlines are airlines, right? It's the Barflex Parker line. I'm going to have to recut that, obviously, or cut it before I put it into this push to connect fitting. But now I'm able to sort of unscrew this, clean up the threads, rethread it back up again, and make sure that it's all good. Stuff that's supposed to be done at the factory. But we're going to go ahead and do that in just a second. We're going to inspect the threads, and we're going to inspect the actual fitting when I remove it in just 1 second. Well, what do you know? This actually happens to be the check valve for the compressor. Not a lot of thread sealant that was on here. I guess somebody just kind of did a quick job. So we're going to rethread it a lot better. I'm going to blow this out with some air, but it seems to be working okay. So this is definitely not the issue. The issue is the leak over here. So we're going to reseal it, put it back in. The threads here are actually in decent condition. So they're not too bad. We're going to clean these up a little bit. It doesn't seem to be... this is a steel tank, obviously, so these are not going to degrade unless they're cross-thread, but they're not cross-thread. So that's what I was a little bit afraid of, is maybe if they're cross-thread, because sometimes, you know, when these are put in the factory, they're cross-thread, but these ones are not. So we're good to go with that. I'm going to put some sealant tape on it, clean these up, reseal it back up, pressurize it back up, and we should be pretty much good to go. No more leaks. Forgot to mention this, because this is a check valve. Be careful when you guys are unthreading this fitting. If you ever repairing or you're servicing your own compressor, be careful when you guys remove this fitting, because it is a check valve. The contents inside the tank are actually going to be under pressure. Even though all the pressure out here is depleted, there might still actually be residual pressure inside the tank. So just be careful when you guys are unthreading this and you hear air come out. Most likely it will. When you hear air come out, just thread with caution. Put on some heavy-duty gloves. Put on a face shield. Make sure you have a piece of wood, which is what I did, in order to sort of not have it jump up at you and hit you in the face. So kind of unthread it from the side like that. But as soon as you guys hear any kind of air coming up and increasing as you're opening it up, tread wisely. So that's what happened in my case. But I depleted most of the tank out before I actually unscrewed any of the fittings. So that's probably the first thing you guys should do when you do it. But just as a word of caution, if you guys are removing this as a check valve in this particular location, and that way you don't want to get hit in the face. Okay, so I ended up actually replacing this 90-degree sort of like a side fitting that was there. Just because this kind of has like a push-on hose, and what ended up happening is when I put it back together and I pressurized the tank, it started to leak through there. I didn't really want to recut it and sort of sleeve it over with heat or anything like that, so I just replaced it. I just basically put in a 300 psi rated push to connect elbow, and it's placed. So much better solution actually. I know that it's once it's in there, it's not gonna leak. So here we go. No more leaks. There's some bubbly on it. I call it bubbly, which is basically the leak detection fluid. I don't see little micro bubbles anymore. I don't see any micro bubbles from the fittings, anything from the compression line. So I think mission accomplished. I like it a lot better. And I have it going from the regulator here, push to connect, all the way up to the new fitting that I just installed. And it's a swivel fitting as well, so it makes it a lot much nicer, whereas this one was not a swivel fitting. So you know what I mean. Like it's just ways of improving the stuff that you buy from the store. And I think this is a much better improvement. One, it doesn't leak. Two, it has a nice swivel fitting, a nice new 1/4-inch airline. And this thing is solid at 150 psi. So mission accomplished. So just one way how the skills that you learned through air suspension and leak detection can help you with any sort of anything air related. In this particular case, it happens to be my home air compressor. Hopefully this helps you guys. And if you have any of these compressors and you're experiencing similar problems, why it kicks on in the middle of the night, most likely because it's leaking through the fitting or your check valve is stuck. I do have a video in regards to check valves, which sort of applies as well to the compressors. This is a compressor motor. Think of this as a Vire compressor 444, a check valve, which basically is just one-way operation and keeps the air inside the tank. So all these skills you guys learn through working on your cars and doing air suspension could be applicable to your home tools as well. So all the best, and you guys have a good one.